Good evening. Greetings and thanks for being here. My name is Andy Major. I'm a member of Neighbors of the Onondaga Nation and serve as the project coordinator for the Two Row Wampum Renewal campaign. We're delighted to see a full house here. Thank you for coming. Thank you to the scores of people who've been working diligently for nearly 2 years now to lay the groundwork for this evening. This work builds on centuries of diplomatic efforts by the Onondaga and other Haudenosaunee nations, and on over 13 years of work by neighbors of the Onondaga Nation. We're delighted to see it continue and grow in the way that it will over this coming year. Before we get started, I'd ask people to please turn off your cell phones if you haven't done that already. And tonight's program will begin with Tadodaho Sid Hill offering a traditional Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address to set the tone for tonight's event and for our year-long campaign. Tadodaho Sid Hill.
So the Honsi Yosak and Jacques. Ya Sungwabi net Sungwai isa ni Ungwai Hotang. Ne Hadik, Duni Ungwit the Gesh Kadahne and the Ondega. Now go and what the Yahta ne gonna hand you. You didn't again guy when Dakwa to know and got the Gotane or hand the guy for Dekui. And Dana go here. Need the Ungwit the Gay Ungu Yosinet Tona, Skado has twine what Nigoha, eat then what the Yahta, then what that no ha, done it to the Natik Nigoha. Down a hat to have one jada, the 918 no hot yet to no hanko. To know he and twas it's at neo e ungoit again haset. To know the ungot quite hard and ungot nego he was stuck with. And down I ate never how it guy soon go the what and yet is at no nisa go with Honda. And down I did with what they know ya, Scada and one what nego have what the yet, you know her. I saw on the different what then yet. It no hot at one jade. Down it to the now take don't go nego her. Dana, what yet Tina had go egg with that hind and it's some white this side. I know we have one it's at noon, and twisting I own it to a good guy. They guide again Hasset, they can joke a waggy. And down I did with what they know ya, Scada and Dwine, what they go have what yet Tina had go egg with that hind and it's some white this side. Down it to the now take don't want to go. Dana, it's at the way, and I know Uncle we say you're stuck with. I uncle Toyanik, nine again, the tweet nonny. I the whole thing again, it's going to Kahadumi. Now to Hagwan, it when Dakwan, it to the way. And down I did with what they know ya, Scada Hendo, I got Nigo have what the Tina hand it's at the way. Down it to the Neotic don't go Nigoha. Down there, Hoy Wakashun, going, I guess go we host to you. Nanga, we Hawane and Honadi Honda, so go we Wakanistani. 1980 so that had one doing this. Hey, guy, once ago, net and net aqua. And Dana Otne said, what you are in the car aqua. Dana Otne 80 so that soon car aqua. And Dana told you there, just enough wine. And I know we have one it's at no honadi honda. And I did what always on you. So I saw honadi what they did, it's at no honadi honda, that's a kind yard. And Dana I did with what they know ya, Scada and Dwag, what you go have what the Tina hand. Aso na honadi what they did it's at kind yard. Dana to the neotic don't go Nigoha. Dana, so go ya dagwa, Nick, I ain't you great to get the Yunki and Yado. Took no to and you sat no took not the sai. The chisek don't know the Sahana down. Now you have a hot doga, Yatoyana, Yago Yatagun, the Yunda way yet out when Jad. Now I say that you'll take me to Now ya, so go ya dagwa, Nick, I ain't you great to get the Yunki and Yado, and the Akwi, I got Saint one, Yago the air. And Dana Otne, who did the Guaishu, Nick got Nico Hagesum. And Dana Otne, whom I yat dagwa, net said Wakawana, not net Scania Dio. Now I net Hahawi, net Hawaii, not net Sungoy this side. And Dana I did with what they know ya, Scada and Dwag, what Nico have, what the Tina hand, Nick, I ain't you great to get the Yunki and Yado. Night Quatone said Wakawana, not net Scania Dio. Dana to the Neotic don't go Nicoha. Dana, Sani Hoyasi, net Sungoy this side, night Hawaii, Hawan Jage, Dun Sahagon, and then so on a hehek. To know how you got Dakwats, no took not this side. Night ya, you did to Dok Dakwa. When the day you was soon the day the Hosati hard in it, gonna one cosset. And I had some good desk using in it, John go home in it, some go in the other Tewatic. And I did what there was on you, so I saw some gonna one quat. and da night di with what they know ya skada hendwa got ne go ha what yet said what na ha ne gain ya ke hana ge ne sung gwai di sai da ne to di ne tek tong got ne go ha da ne to ne ne ga ba di what go ne ka na hen yo da na of ka ne and give hope that what that has up what ha and get start ne has ne ke ha wa do. So I like to this was our traditional greetings anytime we gather, either small or large crowds, and it's a Thanksgiving to for all the things that's been given to us, as for us to walk peaceably on earth. First, we start with just welcoming the people who have come here, and that we're all well, and we're able to be here. And then we go on, and I kind of group things together just for time's sake, and as you know, some of the elders could really go on for a good hour on some of these openings. So I remember having to sit through them. So, but and to try to keep still at the same time, when you're young kids. But so we greet the people, and then we thank for Mother Earth that she's still doing her duties, and it kind of just gradually go up from the small plants and medicines, and we just gradually make our way up to the sky world. So we start with the medicines, and I kind of bundle them up with the medicines and the trees, the fruits, the animals that run about on earth and the ones that fly, and all the waters that are kind of like the veins of Mother Earth. And then we go on to the winds, and we thank for the soft winds. Then there's been special duties given to the beings in the sky world, and we address them as our family. First, we thank our grandfather, the thundering voices. And then we thank our elder brother, the sun. And then we thank our grandmother Moon, and for all the things that they're still doing their duties and carrying on. And we thank the stars. So it's all these things that are still going on. They're still doing their duties, and they bring all the the thunders bring the rain, the sun with the warmth and the light. Grandmother Moon dampening the earth and working with the women with their cycle and bringing life to the world, so life continues on earth. And then we thank the stars. And we have lost a lot of the knowledge with the stars, but we still use the stars for some of our ceremonies. And there's four beings that were to watch over us as we travel on the earth, because we know there's many dangers out there. And we also thank the four beings, four messengers, for choosing our last prophet, Handsome Lake, and for what he gave us as to how do we continue to keep our language, our ceremonies, our ways, our identity, with all the things that our European brother brought. So it's what's maintained us through these years. It's kept our communities connected, and each year we go to the different nations and hear those words, and then we kind of ended up with thanking the Creator for that, and thanking Him that He still sends His love to our people and everybody. So that's really shortening that up for this part of the ceremony here. But I'm just glad to see all the people. It's good to be back on the Syracuse Stage again, and some of you have seen the series back a couple of years ago was attended very well. So I just thank everybody for coming, and let's enjoy the night here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Neighbors of the Onondaga Nation has worked as allies to the Onondaga people and nation for over a decade, seeking to educate the people of Central New York about the history of relations between our peoples and the need for justice and environmental protection. As you'll see tonight, that work has borne considerable fruit. The folks who are heading out aren't leaving, they're preparing to participate in this next step. However, over the past couple of years, we've come to realize that to truly be effective, the work that we're doing needs to be extended well beyond our own community here in Central New York, that it needs to be extended throughout New York State and well beyond. Hence, the Two Row Wampum Renewal campaign. This campaign commemorates the 400th anniversary of the first treaty between Native Americans and those who came from European shores far off. It paints a very powerful yet simple manner of us living together in peace and friendship. And Chief Jake Edwards will talk about that in greater detail a little later. First, I want to thank all the people who've helped make tonight's event possible, to make it successful, to help fill this theater, which is beautiful to see. The organizing committee consists of Freida, Jacques, Jack Mano, Regina Jones, and myself. Thanks also to the scores, perhaps a couple of hundred people who've been working on the Two Row Wampum campaign here in Syracuse, at the Onondaga Nation, in the Albany area, the Hudson Valley, New York City, Ithaca, and elsewhere. And I know there's people who've made the journey to be with us tonight from all of those places, although not from New York City, which is the furthest afield. But Tanya Ganella-Fritchner, who's one of our key folks we're working with in New York, sent an email sending greetings to everyone and wishing us well tonight. I don't think that any of us, when we started this, realized how large an undertaking we were setting afoot. And so we're going to need all of you here, along with hundreds of others, to continue and expand this effort over the coming year and beyond. This morning I received word that the Dutch Coalition for Indigenous Rights has just decided to dedicate their annual event marking the anniversary of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples to the Two Row Wampum Treaty this coming September. So this is just one of many examples of the support building for this historic effort. Thanks to the nearly 70 co-sponsoring organizations for the campaign, universities, environmental groups, social justice organizations, and faith communities. Thanks to the silent auction donors and to Syracuse Stage for hosting tonight's event. Patricia Schwartz and Angela Coppola are providing sign language interpretation over here for us. Your program has a great deal of useful information about the campaign, including a full list of the co-sponsoring organizations, the Honorary Advisory Committee for the campaign, the Steering Committee and Enactment Committee that are working so hard on this effort. We hope that you'll read it thoroughly and hold on to it for future reference. It also includes an appreciation to the foundations and other funders who are supporting the Two Row campaign. Tonight's diverse program begins with a procession of projects in the spirit of the Two Row Wampum. That will be followed by a presentation on the history of the Two Row Wampum and the Covenant Chain of Treaties by Jake Edwards of the Onondaga Council of Chiefs. Scholar of Native American history Robert Venables will follow Jake with a brief look at violations of those treaties and efforts of allies through the years to work for justice. Onondaga paddling coordinator Hickory Edwards and noon organizer Lindsay Spear will offer a multimedia overview of this year's campaign. And we'll conclude the program with parting words and reminders from Regina Jones and Sally Roche Wagner before we continue our conversations over refreshments, the silent auction, and if you bid, please remember to put your contact information so we can touch base with you. All of that will happen outside here in the pavilion to the right of when you go out the doors. So we look forward to a great evening as followed by informal discussion over refreshments. So I'd like to introduce Onondaga clan mother, longtime educator, both of her own Onondaga community, but also of the broader community, Freida Jacques.
Nuahascano. I'm so short. Yeah, if you want to. Yeah. Well, I'm very happy that we're here today and finally getting to start with our Two Row Wampum campaign. Tonight we're going to have representatives of different efforts that represent the atmosphere and the gist and the feeling of the Two Row Wampum, where people work together as equals and help one another with their gifts that they happen to have from both sides, from the Haudenosaunee and Native side and the American side, I'd say. And people have been doing this all along, and it's not always obvious. So we thought we would start out first with having pairs of people come down the aisle and come up here, and you can see them and hear what they're doing, because they're doing wonderful work. And the people that you see are just two people, usually in an effort that, you know, needed many people to help out with. So they're just examples of those people who work together present day, and there are many. So we do want to recognize them, and hopefully we have people gathered up for that. All right. I'd first like to introduce Curtis Waterman, Beaver Clan. He's a longtime blues musician who serves as the Onondaga representative to the Haudenosaunee Environmental Task Force. Aya Yamamoto is a student at the SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry and an active member of Neighbors of Onondaga Nation. Jane Zell supports the protection of the environment and has played in the area with the Zell Tones and has known Curtis for a very long time. And let's see. Aya Yamamoto is a Two Row Wampum Renewal campaign steering and enactment committee member. So they are musicians, and they're going to play some music as we go along. So hopefully we are ready, and I did not realize we wouldn't be able to see anything. Are they ready? We'll take turns.
Okay. The first pair is Tadodaho Sid Hill, the spiritual leader of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and Maurice Hinchy, who served 20 years in Congress and has long been a voice for social justice and environmental protection. They represent the promise of the Two Row, two governments working side by side in peace and friendship, respecting one another's different ways. So please go ahead and start processing down.
Okay. Irving Paulus Jr., Beaver Clan, is an Onondaga chief and secretary of the Onondaga Nation, author, historian, ambassador, and more. Robert Venables is a longtime educator and historian and author of the two-volume set American Indian History, 5 Centuries of Conflict and Coexistence. Irving and Bob have worked together for over 30 years to untangle the web of misinformation about the Haudenosaunee and share the true history of relations between our peoples. Robert's here somewhere. Are you there? You're right behind me.
Jeannie Shenandoah, Eel Clan, works for the Onondaga Nation Communications Office and is the founding vice president of the Matilda Jocelyn Gage Foundation. Sally Roche Wagner, the founder and director of the Gage Foundation, is a longtime feminist activist and educator. Jeannie and Sally have spoken widely together, including from this stage, about the Haudenosaunee influence on the U.S. women's rights movement.
Robin Kimmerer Potawatomi is a botany professor, director of the Center for Native Peoples and the Environment at SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry, and a poet. Bruce Baumgarten is the provost and vice president for academic affairs at SUNY SF and works with Robin on the board of the Center for the Native Peoples and the Environment. The center is the forefront of efforts to bridge the gap between indigenous understandings of the natural world and Western environmental studies.
We're a little delayed by needing to flip over our pages. We printed on double sides to save a little paper. Regina Jones, Turtle Clan, is the assistant director of the Native Student Program at Syracuse University. She works closely with James Duajiman, the director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs, to make SU a welcoming place for Native students and people of all ethnic and cultural backgrounds. Their work builds on the strong foundation established by Chancellor Nancy Cantor's commitment to scholarship and action.
Dan Hill Heron Clan is a Cayuga title holder, Cayuga representative to the Haudenosaunee Environmental Task Force, and an artist and musician. Dan helps maintain the land known as the Cayuga Share Farm. Jacques Rawson, a professor of anthropology at Ithaca College, is a founding member of SHARE, Strengthening Haudenosaunee American Relations Through Education, and works to gain respect for indigenous oral traditions among scholars. Jack played a key role in the return of Cayuga land to the Cayuga Nation.
Tom Huff Deer Clan is a Tom Huff Deer Clan is a stone sculptor, curator, and arts educator. Rose Viviano is a stained glass artist and director of the Art Rage Gallery. Tom and Rose have worked together to promote the arts as a source of understanding and inspiration to work for peace, social justice, and protection of the earth.
Debbie Webster Eel Clan has worked regularly at the Syracuse Peace Council for nearly a decade. Carol Baum is a longtime Peace Council staff person and co-founder of Noon. The Peace Council was a strong ally and friend of the Onondaga Nation long before Noon was formed in the late 1990s. Because peace is central to the missions of both the Haudenosaunee and the Peace Council, this is a natural alliance.
Shirley Hill, Turtle Clan, works at the Onondaga Nation Arena, which is called Where They Play Games is the English translation, and I'll ask Freida when I'm done to give you the Onondaga word for it. And she also works on the planning for the Two Row Wampum symbolic enactment trip down the Hudson. She has worked for several years with Joan Cope Savage, a local environmental scientist and Noon member, on the Good Friends Garden. The garden is a collaboration between Noon and Onondaga gardeners to build relationships and support sustainable agriculture.
Elf Jacques Turtle Clan is one of the few traditional acrostic makers still keeping up the craft. Mike Greenlaw is a local photographer who has worked with Elf and others to document the Haudenosaunee roots of lacrosse and other aspects of the culture.
Dr. Roberta Johnson, Coyote Clan, grew up on the Onondaga Nation and works at the health center there. Dr. Joel Potash, a member of Noon, works with Roberta and others at the Onondaga Nation Health Center. Both seek to blend modern health care with traditional Haudenosaunee understandings of health.
Brad Paulus Eelclan is a teacher at the Onondaga Nation School and sits on the Onondaga Council of Chiefs. He is working with Phil Arnold, professor of religion at the Syracuse University, founding director of SCANU, the Great Law of Peace Center at Onondaga Lake. This major project will transform a site of confused and misleading history into a multi-purpose educational center at the birthplace of democracy.
Tony Gagne, Beaver Clan Faith Keeper, is active with the Haudenosaunee Repatriation Committee. He worked closely with Greg Tripoli, director of the Onondaga Historical Society, for the return of wampum to the Onondaga Nation. Greg led his organization in voluntarily returning the belt and other cultural patrimony, a precedent-setting repatriation of a significant collection from a non-federally funded private museum and historical association. Tony created a replica belt for OHA as a sign of the Onondaga Nation's appreciation.
Dwayne C. Perry is the chief of the Rapaco Lenape Nation, the Muncie people of Rappahannock Pass, from the New York and New Jersey border region. Lori Seaman is an advocate for protecting our waterways, founding member of the Sparkill Creek Watershed Alliance, and the director of the Strawtown Art and Garden Studio, devoted to outdoor experiential education for young people. Dwayne and Lori are working to support the Two Row Wampum Renewal campaign and educate people about the ceremonial lands and grounds of the Muncie people.
Wendy Gagne, Beaver Clan clan mother, is a writer and educator. She has worked closely with Carol Resnick, a founder of Noon, since the original Neighbor to Neighbor, Nation to Nation booklet was published in 2000. They are among the coordinators for the revised 72-page educational booklet, which will be published in the coming months. Look for and share this rich educational resource for our community.
Orrin Lyons, Wolf Clan, is a faith keeper and internationally recognized spokesperson for indigenous peoples and the protection of the earth. Ed Bogus is the executive director of the Syracuse Center of Excellence, New York State Center of Excellence in Environmental and Energy Systems. Orrin and Ed collaborate to bridge the gap between indigenous understandings of the environment and technical environmental science.
Bob Shenandoah Eelclan sings in traditional Haudenosaunee settings and has sung with the Syracuse Community Choir for 20 years. Karen Mahaly directs the choir and is a longtime friend of the Onondaga. For over 25 years, the choir has sung of peace, social justice, and protecting Mother Earth. Bob's mother, Audrey, loved the choir and often participated in their concerts. This year's Summer Solstice concert, Thursday, June 30th at the Onondaga Nation School, will honor the 400th anniversary of the Two Row Wampum Agreement.
Tamara Cook, Bear Clan, is active in the effort to prevent hydrofracking and has organized Idle No More events in Syracuse. Jack Ramsden has led Noon's anti-fracking work for several years, organizing, speaking, passing out literature, etc. Jack has likely distributed more anti-fracking lawn signs than anyone else in the state. You can get a sign for only $6 and learn how you can get involved after the presentation.
Is Tom Porter here? Yeah, great. Tom Porter Bear Clan is a Mohawk leader and founder of the Ganajolege settlement, reestablished in 1993 on the Mohawk River near what is now Fonda, New York. When Amanda Hopkins, a nearby landowner, learned of the resettlement, she generously offered support, and I'm told land as well. Ganajolege is a Mohawk community which returned to that nation's ancestral lands as part of an effort to strengthen their culture.
Amanda is up in her years, so I guess she did not make it tonight. So, Pete Jimis, nope. Michael Taylor, Wolf Clan, is an assistant professor of anthropology and Native American studies at Colgate University. Brooke Hansen, a professor of anthropology at Ithaca College, is a founder of SHARE. Michael and Brooke are active members of the Central New York Native American Studies Consortium, which works to teach about indigenous issues and peoples both historically in our current context in area colleges and universities.
Is Ron Shenandoah here? Well, I'm going to say this anyway. Okay. Ron Shenandoah, Eel Clan, and Onondaga Fire Captain. Harold Smith is the firehouse captain for Nedro's Firehouse. They collaborate on emergency response for the area, which includes the Onondaga Nation and neighboring towns and villages. The two departments have a strong working relationship, which has resulted in faster and more effective emergency response throughout the area.
Hickory next. Hickory Edwards, Turtle Clan, is the Onondaga coordinator for the Two Row symbolic enactment. Lindsay Spear is an environmental organizer on behalf of the Onondaga Nation and is publicity coordinator for the Two Row campaign. Hickory and Lindsay work together to plan and implement the Two Row enactment this coming summer. They'll be doing a lot of paddling and looking for others to join in the fun.
Jake Edwards, Eel Clan, sits on the Onondaga Nation Council of Chiefs and speaks widely on historical and environmental issues. Jack Mano is a professor of environmental studies at SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry and educational coordinator for the Two Row campaign. Jake and Jack work together to educate folks about the campaign. Both are eloquent and engaging speakers who are spreading the Two Row message far and wide.